The production for God of War 3 has been some of the most extensive that we've done for a video game. We've got 26 hours of brass sessions that we've done. We've got 12 hours with string ensembles, and we've got 20 hours with a choir. We're recording the strings and brass here with the AFFM players in San Francisco at Skywalker Sound. We recorded our choir in Prague. We did that remotely over an internet connection, essentially using a DigiDesign plugin that allows you to monitor basically at MP3 quality in real time and give feedback as though you were there.
Skywalker Sound is my favorite place to record. We could actually have a full 80-piece orchestra playing together, but we could go in and get this isolation, right? We could put the brass in one room, we can put the horns in another, we can have, you know, a 40-piece string section out on the floor, we can have the percussion in another room, right? We can have the woodwinds in another, and everybody's all playing together, but behind the scenes, we've got everything isolated, so we can go out and create derivative cues, and which is a lot of what we do. So we'll have maybe 2 hours of music created for a game that has 30 hours of gameplay, and we've got to take that 2 hours and turn it into maybe 4 hours of music to cover that, right? It's a lot harder to do, if not impossible to do right, if you've only got everybody playing together all the time.
The music is first mocked up by the composer using samples and synthesizers, and when we have those pieces of music, and they sound roughly like a real orchestra, so that the director and we can tell where the composer is going, then those in a multi-track format end up driving the production all the way through. Even though we may record choir on a Tuesday, if we were to record the strings for that same composition the following Friday, we would still use the synthetic choir. We're using everything from the mock-up so that everyone's working off of the same source sound. And then in the end, it all comes together in the final mix where all the live elements are brought together.
Even though samples are getting really, really good these days, and it makes it harder and harder as a musician and a composer to justify to these guys, hey, we really need, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to record this score, even though the producer may be in love with how it sounds right now. The thing you're still missing is the emotion that comes out of these. And even though it's mostly angry emotions that are happening in God of War,
the funny thing about it is, for God of War 1, we were probably in pre-production about 18 months, going through different styles of music that we thought would match the game, because you could come up with something really eerie, and we spent maybe like 3 or 4 months creating a score that we thought would be really good. We came up with 20 minutes of music that was awesome. But as soon as we popped it into the game, it got crushed by the brutality of what was going on in the game. You know, so we took another 2 or 3 stabs at it, and then we finally hit on what ultimately became the sound of God of War. You've got this super, super punchy brass that just kind of punches holes in you. You've got this undercurrent of these really meaty strings, and then floating on top of everything, you have the choir just kind of jumping out and ramping it up and up and up. A lot of the influences were this heavy, kind of like death metal music, like not for the game, but once again, what was going on inside of Kratos' head, right? So that had to be realized with whatever kind of score we ended up creating.